Well, my friends, here we go again. Long time no see. I will explain you what is going on. So here we are. Today, complete the other video in the shadow. Bam. We go to the light. I see out to the beautiful view. Watch 1, 2, bam. What a view, or that is amazing. Watch at that. That is nice, or with the mountains. So here we are. I'm sitting here. My problem is no street ball videos anymore because I cannot play. I have not the possibility to film. Only problems, So first of all, the camera is damaged, the GoPro where I film right now. The problem is the camera itself is damaged, so to press in the button does not function anymore. So I have to make a parcel, how it is called. Where you write to put it in, that it goes on, like this. With the fingers, almost impossible because the button was falling out, so there is no button anymore. Then the batteries, I always call it the Akku, like in German. But the batteries, I have 5 batteries and they all go out within minutes, Not only in winter when it was cold, also now it can happen in 5 minutes. It is fully loaded, 100%, and then it is over and I cannot film, When I go to a court, boom, it is over. And the other thing is the SD card, also a damage thing. Can happen that after 1, 2, 3 files when I'm filming is coming, SD card is an error. And you have to delete all files, otherwise you cannot use it anymore. All what I filmed is away. So makes absolutely no sense. Camera damaged. Next point, my PC, my desktop where I cut the videos. Desktop now, no internet connection anymore. Does not function without the internet connection. I can almost nothing use in the production, in the cutting software. I tried all what was possible to make a update, I tried the other Windows system, I cannot do it. Why? Also there the space on the computer is full, and I have no money to buy an SD card, an external. And so I cannot put in now a new Windows system, for example, and because then it will maybe all be deleted, and the internet connection does not come again. I don't know what the error is, I have Windows 10. They make no updates anymore. I cannot go now to Windows 11 because of the space. And all problems, so I cannot use that PC now anymore. Then I don't have the rights anymore for the music, so I cannot cut in music, I cannot make an intro. I can use original music, but then when I listen to music here in my room now, from famous artists, they don't lock my video, or, only in some countries, and it is not shown to many people, That is the punishment. But I will get no problems because I'm not in the partner program, So I earn not 1 cent, so they let it in, but it can happen in the future that they delete the video, That is the point. And then I have no time anymore. I have to work every single day, The whole month, every single day I'm working. And my work is, I have 2 works, My main job, and then I drive around 40 hours e-bike, 40 hours e-bike every day, the whole week, 40 hours. So that means around 4 to 6 hours, depends what slot you have, but 4 to 6 hours around every single day I am driving. And we also have to drive upwards, bam. And this e-bike has the lowest motor, a 45 Newton meter back motor, so you have really to push. And when you do that every single day, you are finished, You are really finished. And I sleep at the afternoon because I have to work in the morning. And when I come home after the bicycling, to the next day in the morning, I don't have enough sleep. So I have to sleep now every single day at afternoon. And so it makes no sense to go to a basketball court. It's too much. And the problem is also the battery of the bicycle. I only have this bicycle now for delivering, the e-bike. And the battery needs around 6 to 7 hours to load up. And when I would go midday to a street ball court, then I don't have the time to load it up for the delivery slot, And so you see, there are many circumstances, but we make now a new episode until I have enough money, until I have the time again, and then we go in 100% into the YouTube game, you know. But that will last now a little bit. I can say I will make no video, but I have decided now, I make now the program the way up to 20 pull-ups. 20 pull-ups in a row without rest. Straight pull-ups, you know. Under tension pull-ups. And that is the goal. Maybe someone is interested in better than to have no videos, because that I can make. I have here a tablet, you know. And I have to make the cutting on the PC, then I load the file there, and there I have internet connection, and then I can load it up. Very simple videos like now when I'm talking, but maybe the way up to 20 pull-ups, some people are interested, also want to try it, you know, that they come there. I have a lot of solutions, a lot of steps how to do that, and also to train other things, you know, that I can still do, because when you have 15 minutes at home, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, that you can do, you know. Because here I don't have to go out, I don't need the bicycle, and that is possible, you know. And that is why I will do it. And that we try. And then maybe street ball again. The first time that I can play maybe is in July, you know. July, August, when summer is here. There we can start our journeys again, the balls, and then I will have money maybe to buy new balls. Of course, to that date, the numbers of the views, you know, like now we go the lowest channels of the lowest, you know, but makes no problem to me, because if I have 1 view or 1 million, it changed nothing in my life. I only film that what I always liked, you know, and I share it to people. That is my thing. But then we take over again, because I could not take over since 1.5 years what I wanted to do, you know, with new balls and this and that. But that we will do. So that was now the introduction in our new things. And important, this video I will upload in the playlist Weekly Street Ball and in the playlist Training. But the next episodes I will only upload in Training. Normally I upload all things in Weekly Street Ball, but when then only coming training videos and the new people see that and they say, hey, what is that for shit? There is training and no street ball. So the next episodes I will upload in playlist Training. So here we have a pull-up bar. We have a ladder for pull-ups. We have a training board for pull-ups. And here I have with the height to adjust a pull-up bar here for Australian pull-ups to hang on there. So the thing is, where do you start? When you want to start by 0 pull-ups or 1 pull-up, then you have another program than I have right now. I'm right now by around 12 straight and clean pull-ups, what I can do when I'm fresh, you know. And I will explain you all the steps, what is necessary. But if you are by 0 pull-ups, the factor is how to make a pull-up. What is necessary? Can every do a pull-up? And there we can start into it. I can tell you, I know people, they never trained and they can do 3-4 pull-ups. They have never trained anything. And then there are other guys who need weeks to make 1 pull-up, you know. I also was in that category. I could not make 1 centimeter, nothing, you know. And so we have 2 type of persons, you know. And women have it much harder than men. So when you're a woman, that is a much harder exercise, you know, because men have more strength. And then body weight, very important. When you are a light person, you know, like me, you have it much easier to make a pull-up than a 110 kilo guy, you know. But also there it depends, are they 100 kilo a fat guy with no training, only eating, or a absolutely muscle trained guy, you know, with 110 kilo. That is important. And then how much time you have for training, you know, these are the external things. For example, when someone is working 8 hours, hardest work, you know, and then to train is very hard, or someone who is 8 hours in a computer job, who is sitting, relaxing, recovering the whole day, he only needs his brain. Then when this person trains after the work, he has much more energy in there, you know, than the other one who works 8 hours, you know, then the muscles are over. That is also important. And yeah, so we can start into it. So when you can do 0 pull-ups or only 1 pull-up, the first step what I would do is forget about the real pull-ups, you know, bam, no pull-up. You go to this, you imagine now we put this here on the ladder, and then you lay on the floor. I can show you that. Also my tripod is damaged. This is the next part, it always breaks out. But wait, I tried that I can show you that what you are doing. Wait. So that is now good. So you can imagine now this tool, you know, we put on that it is here. You lay on the floor, you grab it and you try to pull up. That is much easier than a real pull up, you know. But this way or this way doesn't matter. Legs straight is harder, more and more it is easier, you know. And then you try the first steps, but important that goes to the neck, so don't make too much. Maybe you cannot do one, you try it, you know. That is the first thing, and there, believe me, even if it doesn't look correct in the technique, you get better. Then you can do 2, 3, 4, then maybe 10, 15, you know. And so that is the first step, the progression. So now, watch. That is my tripod, you know, now. It is also when I film on the street parkour, boom, it collapses. Wait, I have to put it in again. First step, you know. And then the next steps, there are a lot of programs how you progress then. One what I always see are those elastic bands, you know, rubber bands. Rubber bands, I also have them to put in. That helps you. I am not a fan of that. Why? When a person never has done pull-ups, this person does not know how the technique functions. And when they go in, of course they can go up, but they learn it in a complete wrong way. They have no feeling for the exercise. And the rubber band can crush out and fall into your eye. Always when you have rubber bands, never in this direction what it goes to the head. So I'm not a fan of that for pull-ups. Away, you know, I'm not interested in that. Next step, what you do when you have a portable pull-up, you know, from the height. Negative pull-ups. That is what people can do as next step to come to the first pull-up. I show you that, wait. So, negative pull-up. Here you have a bar. So, negative means you go up or you jump up, you know, and then from there you let down very slow, you know. But now a very important factor. Why? An adjustable one, I tell you that, because there people make a lot of mistakes. I would, when you learn a pull-up bar, always do it that the ground is in that way. Do you see that now? Wait, I have to go a bit back. You see that? I can never lock up, you know, or lock out, boom. Will not happen now, you see? Because when people have no feeling, when you have no feeling for pull-up, and you try from the highest position to go down, I guarantee you, here you can hold it maybe, here also, but there the energy level will be over and you will fall down. And what will happen when you fall down? The reflex is grab it, shit, I'm falling, and then you fall into your shoulder. And when you have the head like this, where I cannot lock out, boom, I feel that, but not in the shoulder. You see the difference? If this pull-up bar would be on that head, I would fall completely in the shoulder and you have pain or a damage. So I would always progress it, I fall to my feet, and here nothing happens. And that you repeat a bit, you know, and there you will also get better. And then you can start from that position, up, and then you try it from a little bit lower, from the stand a little bit with jumping. And so these are progressions that you come to the first pull-up, to the second pull-up. So that is one point, you know. Then, very important, always try complete pull-ups. Not, because I have made a mistake, you know, I learned it the hard way. I tried to hang on 1 centimeter, next time 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters. That takes a long time, you know, very long time. You can shorten that up with that system. And then then I didn't know it, I'm making pull-ups 25 years now around. I made it in that position, bam, bam, bam. That was before YouTube, And then, also before YouTube existed. And then I have seen someone, they making like this, bam. Then I tried my first one, I could do easily 10 from that position, but I could not make one in that position. Makes a complete difference. And also then, when you make it only in that, and then you go there, every centimeter, I show you that here, makes a huge difference, When you are here, and then you go out there, and every centimeter you are it can happen that you can make 10 of those, but you cannot make one single with those, Makes also a huge difference. But I tell you, I would never do it in that range. Shoulder, or not too much, because it is not the best way for the shoulder. For the muscles it is good, but for the joints of the shoulder, when you make that for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, it will damage you maybe, So why to do that? In that motion, we don't need it, So those are the first what you learn, and later on, when you can do 10 of those, then you can go to that position, But not too far, that is all good. So that is the first progression what I will do to come to the first pull-up, to the 5th, in short version, in a short sentence is what I told you now. The next thing, we are now by 8 repetitions, 10 repetitions, 12 repetitions, And also one important thing is, what I see when you ask people, hey, how many pull-ups can you do? That is always the thing, they make it not complete, And one thing what I'm not a fan of, because that makes it so much easier, the rest time, So I show you that. People, you see that is the thing, always with that tripod, all damaged, Then you know why I cannot make videos anymore. I need a new camera, a new tripod, a new PC, music rights, time, and on and on and on. So, people make 1 pull-up, 2 pull-ups, and then they hang in like this, and they rest 1, 2, and then next one, rest. But that is not 10 straight pull-ups. This is rest time, Climbers use that as a rest time to hang, They can hang minutes. And that is for me not the number of pull-ups what people can do, because when you tell those people, hey, 10 pull-ups in a row without a break, complete a difference than to hang and rest the next pull-up. That is one thing what we want to avoid. And the next thing is the knee up, Most people use with power the knee up, you know what I mean? They go up, boom. That is also not a straight pull-up. That we also want to avoid, Abs are straight, ass is tight, and that keeps in that position, and that trains also your abs, Because when you go up, you are in that position, a little bit, not this, that trains your abs, and so we want to keep that position. I always make it with the legs both in that position, and then it is only a straight pull-up. You can pull up more from the biceps, or here from the legs. This is that you learn when you do more pull-ups, Looks maybe for beginners the same, but it's a bit different, So these are the key factors, and now, in my thing, I'm now by around 12 repetitions. But same, when you can do 6 or better 8 repetitions, 10 repetitions, 12 repetitions, then you can use now those programs, those steps, what I will tell you, what will work out now. First step, what I have done now to come to the 12 again, was 7 pull-ups, I was finished. Next training, I tried the same again, how much I can do until the finish line. Maybe 7, maybe 8, And then the next time again. That needs time. Depends how often you work out. I would say 2 times a week for the upper body, not more, not less. But also there, some people can do it more often or need it more often, and some don't need it that often. But around 10 pull-ups, and when you want to get better, 1 time a week is not enough in my opinion. You need 2 times a week to do those exercises. You know, and important, the benefit comes by recovering. When I make now pull-ups, I destroy the muscle, and then in recovery time, my body accepts it and becomes better, you know. And how to get better in pull-ups? 2 factors, the muscles, they can get bigger. I don't get bigger, you know, these are genetics. Also eating, the muscles get bigger, or you have more motoric, in English, the nervous system, I don't know now. And you can, when you pull up now a hand like this, you know, there are the nervous system, and they don't fire all nerves, you know. And the body learns to fire more nerves at one time, and then you get stronger. That you see by powerlifters. Some of them in the lower weight classes, they don't look big and muscular. When you see them on the street, you would never think they are strong, you know. And those are those 2 types, the muscle growing, you know, or the nervous system, you know. Those are the 2 factors, but also they're eating. And people now take creatine, protein powder, and when you have all those steps, you are stronger without doing anything, you know, in short terms. So I don't have those tools, I don't want them, I don't even have the right eating, and that makes it more difficult. So when you don't have the right eating for protein, this and that, then your progress will get lower, you know. Not so in short terms, you need longer time to come to your goal than another person who can eat after the training the right proteins and this and that, you know. Sleep is important to grow, you know, but these are the side effects. And I tried it every time a little bit more, 2 times a week, and there we are. You will not progress by every training. It is not, oh, now I can do 7, next training I can do 8, next training I can do 9, then I can do 10. That will not happen. Maybe 1-2 weeks, but then where is the point where it does not go anymore? In the other direction, it can also go. You can do 7 pull-ups, then 8 pull-ups, then 9 pull-ups, and then in the next training, surprise, surprise, you can only do 7 pull-ups and not 9 again. And then you think, oh shit, what is now? I did something wrong. But there are we? No. Even with only 7 instead of 9, what you could do the last training, you can say you get better, but maybe you had a hard day. For me, for example, I have to carry this heavy delivery bag, you know, heavy, but 4 or 5 hours always eating, stairs, walking up, bicycling, you know, then the energy is out. And when I train after the work, I feel it immediately. Hey, today I still feel a pain in the muscles from the working. And then, of course, you will not do the maximum. And then, but still with 2 repetitions lower, you will also progress, and in the next training, surprise, you cannot do 7 or the 9 maximum, you can do then 10 repetitions. That is also a thing. But that progression works not forever, you know. And it is tough, because you always have to go to the maximum. And that is really, really tough, you know. And don't forget, when you always go to the absolute limit, the nervous system, that is too much, you know. And then there come other steps what we can do. That is where I'm right now. I've done it until I can do 12 clean repetitions. And also difference is, can you do 12 repetitions? The last one, bam. Or you can do 12 repetitions, 12th one, bam. Complete a different story. Both are 12 repetitions. The other one is the first time 12. Or the other one is you train much longer, boom, 12 clean repetitions, you know. Both are by 12 repetitions, but different story. And now we are here. Other steps, and one step, for example, that we will make in a few parts. First step what I do today, that is called the Russian ladder system, you know. And that is a different thing. I don't go to the maximum, but I will grow immediately. And Russian ladder system means we make a lot of volume training now. Because when you make a lot of pull-ups, you know, there exists, for example, when you say, hey, people should do over the whole day always pull-ups. Put in a pull-up bar in the door, and in the morning you would make 1, 2 repetitions, then when you come back 1, 2, and in the afternoon then 10, and on and on and on, that you have from the morning to the night a lot of repetitions. But there I'm also not a fan. Why? Because you will not make it clean, because you have 1 repetition, you don't concentrate, and the other thing is you are not warmed up. You know, you have to warm up the body to progress, you know, and that you don't get damaged over years. Important. And Russian bladder system means now I go there, I warm up, and that we will do then, and I make 5 pull-ups. You know, I'm now by 12, so 5 is not a problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A little bit rest, maybe 10, 20, 30 seconds, but not longer than 1 minute. And then I make 4 pull-ups, rest short, 3 pull-ups, 2 pull-ups, and 1 pull-up. These are 15 pull-ups complete. That is 1 set. 15 pull-ups, you know. And then we make that 5 times. 5 times this ladder from 5 to 4 pull-ups, to 3 pull-ups, to 1, to 2 pull-ups, and to 1 pull-up. And then we start again, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We know the ladder system. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 times in a row. And that means complete 75 pull-ups. So we did 75 pull-ups in one training. And it will be not that tough, maybe the last ladder system, the 5th. And in the other version, what I did, I only made 1 set or 2 sets, and we have there 10, 18 repetitions only. You know, and I can do 12, in the next set maybe 8. We have 20 repetitions only. And here we have 75 repetitions, and that makes us much better. When you do that, a few trainings, and then you try out your maximum, you will be better. And there are a lot of other systems. This is the Russian ladder system. Then we have the pull-up ABC. You know, I have that from a world-class climber, which is from the other federal state of mine, that we also will do in the other part. And then the 5-5 system, you know, where you use extra weight, that you get better, and on and on and on. And so you progress in a good way. You don't damage your nervous system. And you can do it even when you have a lot of work like me, you know. And that is the way how we do it now. And I warm up, then we start with that. And there you also can progress. When you cannot do the 5 ladders, what I told you now, then you make 3 ladders. And when you are there good, then you make 4 ladders and then 5 ladders. You can progress. And I make it from 5 repetitions to 4 to 3 to 1, but you can also make it when you're better in the other direction. You start by 1 pull-up, rest, 2 pull-ups, then 3, then 4, then 5, and so the 5 ladder systems, you know. But that is even harder, that is the next progression. And so that is a good system to come there. So I warm up, and then we start it, and I also make push-ups, you know, for the chest, also important, and that we have the whole body, a little bit abs, and a little bit of my lovely kettlebell exercise. And that is a short training, but you do enough to keep fit, to keep in shape, and that is what we do. Warm up, these are also joint mobility trainings, you know, every joint where I make 20, 30, 40 seconds, you know, in short terms, that I will make now, and then we start it. So now I formed up, and also, you know, all effects is how the width of the bar, you know. Take a normal bar, you know, you can use hand gloves or without. I make it now without. But also there, for example, in winter, when you know my videos, I trained on an icy bar which was full of ice, and I could not grab it. Only that makes a huge difference, you know. When you can do 10 pull-ups normal, you can do maybe only 2 pull-ups because it goes so in the under thing. Every centimeter more or less makes a difference, you know. So the best ways that you have a few times other bars like I have here, then you get used to that, you know. I trained, I show you that I trained so many years only on that bar, you know. I could do 10 pull-ups in that variation, and that was a very thin bar. And when I got to twice the size of that bar, made a huge difference, you know. So that is also important. Wait. So here we have it again. Perfect. And one thing is, I never go complete in the lockout. I told you that before. Lockout is okay, but not to rest and wait. When you make it clean, bam, bam, bam. But I never do it. I go only here, but not this. Never felt good to my shoulder. A lot of people will say, hey, that's not a complete pull-up and this and that. When it doesn't feel good for you, never did. I make it 25 years. I'm not interested to make it complete. And even for the muscle, in my opinion, it is better to not make the complete lockout, because then I'm always under tension, But if you have no problems and you go complete in the straight thing and it feels good, all okay. But only a side effect. But most important is that we make our pull-ups in a long version, and not only from that, Bam, the complete muscles. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is the first set. 5 sets, 75 repetitions, Russian ladder system. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 sets, and then it is. Clean pull-ups, and also when I make the maximum, I told you, I make it more from here and not from the biceps. And here I can concentrate a little bit more on the biceps, but when you are a beginner, then you will not see a difference, But so 5 repetitions, here we go, which feels comfortable for you, and then we do it. So 5 repetitions, and as you see, I have the 8 extra in that version. That it can never happen that I fall into the shoulder, Because that happened to me one time on the ladder by a one-arm pull-up, and then I had shoulder pain for many years. Makes no sense. And the other thing is, we have seen last year the best female climber of all time, Janja Grunbrad, I filmed her, and she says in an interview, one-arm pull-up is not necessary for world-class climbing, When the best female climber of all time says that, why you should train that, when you like it, good, but it is not necessary. So for 2 long rests now. So 4 repetitions. Grabbing like, now I grabbed it complete normally, I have it in the fingers, 3 pull-ups, now finger grip. Already tough to me, because I work now every single day. I have never time rest. When you have no time rest, your body cannot progress in a good way. So I tell you, don't train every day, or when you have a work, hopefully you have a rest day. I don't have that. I have every day 5-6 hours to carry the heavy bag, bicycle 5-6 hours. It's not the best way, But what shall I do? I try my best, 2. So, and then we have 1, and then we make a little bit longer rest, Last one. And it can happen that one arm is stronger, that you pull a little bit more, But when you do your whole life all with the right hand, to carry, to make on the car, open the door, and never do it left, you cannot progress that. When you make 1-2 exercises more for the other hand, when you have done your whole life with the other hand more, that is difficult, So first ladder, this were 15 repetitions, And I'm not completely out. When I would have gone to the maximum, I would be over now, But that way I don't. Bit rest, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 again. And then we can progress how many sets are possible. But today I feel the pain, That is by warming up, you feel that already. So, not talk too much, that needs breathe, 5 again, second set, Russian ladder system. So important, the last one, not to fall down. Correct pull up, you know. But there you can now progress, go down very low or not that much, you know. You can progress it. You have the steps here that you can do it, you know. And now 4. Fourth one was tough, you know, to me now. And don't watch to other people, you know. There are people who are 10 times better, and there are people who have it much harder. You work for your own, you know. Everyone works for your own body, because some have genetics, they are better without training, others one have it 10 times tougher, you know. That is luck how you are born. You know, and all those factors. So 3. Little bit waiting. You know, I make it now the first time, the Russian ladder system. After my progression now to 12. So that feels now difficult because it is a high volume training. I'm not used to that right now, but that will progress in the next trainings, you know. So 2. Have you seen? Last one, completely low down. And then 1. And also not from here. I always lock in, go down, and I make it from the lowest position up, you know. Makes also a difference. I always have done it that way. You see, I grab it, and now from here, the 1 was easy, you know. So now we have made 2 Russian ladders. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. These are 30 pull-ups already, you know. And 30 pull-ups is a lot of pull-ups, you know. And you see, it was not that tough. It needs not that much time. When you make only 1 set limit, then you are over, you know. Then you can do in the next set, when you are beginner, 2 pull-ups, 1. And so that is volume, what makes you better, you know. So more rest, and there you can adjust 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, until you feel, hey, it feels better. Then you try up to 5 pull-ups again. If you cannot do it, and then you make 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, and next time 4, 3, 2, until you are by 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5 sets, you know, 75 pull-ups. A little bit waiting, the heartbeat a little bit, you know, and grab it complete, tougher for the, or that version, better, you know, I make it that version. Always to make this a bit, you know, come down. So we try 5 again, third set. Five. Tough, but it was possible, you know. A little bit longer rest. Now the SD card will get full. Next problem. How many times we have? Do we see it now? 2 minutes, shit. Problem what I have, you know. In 2 minutes I have to, I make it alone weight. I make it all now. 4. Well, now it is over. 4 does not go anymore. So now I have to cut. I tell you how it worked out, and then we see us at the end. Then I will tell you. So we can go on. I've watched now on the PC, I could delete something from the SD card. Now 3, you know, a little bit longer now, rest, but doesn't make anything. 3. So, wait a little bit. We are in the third set of the Russian ladder, you know. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, next, and now in the third. Little break, then 2, and then 1. 2. And you also feel it in the abs when you push up, because you're in that position that you don't break in. The abs have to work in that direction, you know. So only pull-up training can also make you abs, you know. Of course it is better to train it in all directions, but it is also a good variation. I tried it out 20 years ago, 2007, only push-ups and pull-ups. And my abs were good, you know. So, last one, third set, and then I will tell you something, because I changed something now. Clean, straight pull-up, but now I finish it by the Russian ladder system, but I make other exercises now, because 3 sets, these were now 45 pull-ups, you know, 45 pull-ups. That is a lot of volume. When you think I made only 2 sets, the 12 maximum, and then I made 5, 6, 7 or 8 from the wide pull-ups. So 45 against around 20 is twice as much, and I feel it right now, even if I could go on, but then I also have to go to the limit, and that I want to avoid. So we have more days for that Russian ladder system. Not only one day and then you think you are better and then you make something other. No, we make that a few trainings until we are by 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5 sets, all clean, and then we change to the next system, what I will show you. That is progression. You have to stay by that system. Maybe it is boring or not, but that works out, believe me that. But now we have made pulling, you know, pulling. We pulled from that direction. It would also be good in that direction to pull, like with that, you know. But now it is too much, you know, to me, because I feel it right now as what I told you. Now we make pushing. And to me, the perfect way is to make push-ups, you know. Deep, clean push-ups, strains the shoulders and the other parts. Because when you pull something, you have to push it, to have the back and the front muscles, that you have a straight body, that otherwise you get one-dimensional, you know. And push-ups, why? Because I've watched the old generation, the old people when I was young, you know, when I was 19, 18, I watched out, and one person, for example, was a Jack LaLanne, who went over 90 years, made pull-ups with fingers with 90 years around. And pull-ups is a way where you don't damage the joints, it drains the body, you can adjust to it, also that it gets harder, and it is a safe exercise for decades. When you make presses on the bench, of course you get much more stronger because you have much more load, but you see so many people who damage the joints, shoulder, to get a cut here, bam, you know. I don't need that. I enjoy training, I don't get paid for that, you know. So I want to make for my body something good. And the most important thing is, listen to that, I trained with a lot of kettlebells, you know. And I had, back in the days, heavier kettlebells. Nowadays, all the game changed a bit, you know, they take creatine and this and that, they are stronger without doing anything. But when you haven't taken all those supplements, you know, I made Turkish get-ups with half of my body weight. I had a picture on there from Turkish get-up, that means you lay straight on the floor, you take a kettlebell and then you stay up that you're in that position. You know? And I made it with half of my body weight, right-handed and also left-handed, you know. I made the snatches with the 24 kilo kettlebell, you know, and I only weighed in 60 kilo. But that hurted me, you know. I had always pain, you know, pain, pain, pain. You get stronger, you look fit, you know, but pain. And what brings you that? One day I thought that is stupid. I always have back pain, had the correct position, you know, maybe others have other genetics, they never have pain, you know. But a person, small bones, you know, I don't know, and then it makes no sense. And now when I train, I have the whole week no pain, you know, over 40 years, no pain, no knee pain, no shoulder, nothing. I feel comfortable. And that is why I train in that way, that I feel good, you know. And that is the thing, you know. Here you see, that was only bodybuilding style. I made exercises, there I felt very good. I was not that strong, but I made the classical exercises. Bicep curl, very clean, good motion, you know, the speed correct. I made all in a good way, concentrated, never had pain. But then with the kettlebell, with the swinging and the explosive and too much, this and that, you know, is not good. So, push-ups, I make it on the wrist, you know, or on that. I will show you the difference. Both is good, both is a little bit different, and of course, what exercise do you make first? You know, push-ups or pull-ups? When I made now pull-ups, of course, I can do not the maximum on pull-ups, you know, on push-ups, you know, because now I'm limited, you know. We did 45 pull-ups, even if these are all the muscles, but still, you know, you need the abs. And so my tip is always make it in the same direction, because then you see if you have progress or not. When I make next time first exercise push-ups and then the Russian ladder system, of course I will be not that good like today in pull-ups, you know. But push-up, a very good exercise. Why? I will show you now. Wait. So, push-ups. As you know me, I make it often on the wrist, you know. And why not in that position? You can do it, but that position is a lot of pressure in the joints. Do we need that? Of course, the others say, hey, it is harder, you have to make it this and that. But for what? If you are not a fighter and use your wrist, why do we need that? And that is the straight line, and that makes it better, you know. But use always a towel, you know, for the normal people. I did it also, the rough time on grass, on the sand, and then what happened? You are open, you know, and then you cannot do it for the next 2 weeks, you know, stupid. So weightlifting gloves or a towel, best protection, that way or that way. That helps for stabilization, but don't come to the idea to make all the pressure on the dump. It's only for the stability, you know. So, and push up, bam, 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 full motion, you know, not this. That is not, you see a lot of time this or only the shoulder, you know, bam, bam, you see that? I have to watch now on the display that I see me, don't wonder. Bam, bam, it is a movement in the elbow joint, you know, here, straight, bam. You see that? 90 degrees or even more. And most people only have this. That is not the workout what we want. Breathe in, full range of motion. That means the chest has to work, the triceps has to work, the front shoulder has to work. And I show you that when you go bam, bam, straight here, you know, wait, from here, bam, bam, always a straight line. There. So, battery was fully uploaded and now it was out again. Next battery, I told you that. You know what I mean? Because when you ask people, oh, how many pull-ups you can do, they are only making this most of the time, you know, or the rest. That is also the lockout position, that is rest time. You know, when they make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and then the next one. That is not one set, you know. These are 2 sets with a rest time, you know. And so, the most important factor now is we have now the movement, you know, how much, but important is where are the elbows. That position, it is much easier. Maybe it changes the angle, you know, for the chest, but the best way is always elbow down from shoulder height. That direction over, always the best solution for the shoulder. This, you know, that variation to that. In that range of motion, when you make it, you know, so this motion, you see the elbow is lower than the shoulder. That is good. Bam. That is good. Or even completely low. And why? Because there are things in your joint, and in that position, the shoulder, you know, and the bones, and they are then much closer, and they they crush in that position. You know, for bench press, the position on and on helps you for the muscles, but it is bad for the joints, and that is why we keep it in that. But that depends, this, you know, where you want it, where it feels most comfortable. Of course, they are harder than that one, you know. But for the joints, always learn it in that position. Shoulder width, you know, where you have the bars. Shoulder width, and then when you make it, you see, when I have it here, that position, I always, not completely straight, you can do it, I always do it a little bit out, and then shoulder back, you know. Not that we are this, boom, back, and then boom, clean. And here we have the advantage that we can go down, and boom, we open up, you know, but under control, bam, you see, you open up the chest, but under control. A lot of range of motion, you know. That is the thing. Here we can go down more, and here we are limited because the ground is our limited factor. So nose to the ground, bam, bam. You know, and this is important, those steps, to make a correct push-up. And when you can do deep 10 push-ups of this, you know, maybe you can do 30 of what the other people do, because they are much harder. But there we train the best way the front muscles, abs, chest, shoulder, tricep, you know. But of course there will go not much now. So I make it now on the tower. Will not go many, but you know, that is important, pulling and pushing, you know. And also pushing up and pulling in that way, you know the difference. We made pull-ups in that direction, but what I told you, it would be also good in that direction to pull something. Now we make push by the push-ups, but it is also good push-up in that direction. Then we have the complete package to train all sides of the body, you know. And with these exercises we train a lot of muscles. Very safe. And when you make it in that way, what I told you, they are tough, they are hard. You know, go down as much with the nose to the ground. Even by going down, not falling down, control down. And then they are tough, 10, 20, 30, you know. And then you can also progress in other ways. But I make now a clean set, you know, maybe 10, maybe 12. I feel it already from I made twice as much pull-ups as I am used to. So now the muscles are a bit over. So I show you that. Controlled position, shoulder width or a bit more, shoulder back. I have the thumbs here, but the weight is on the knuckles here, on the fingers. I breathe in. Also important, the ass under tension. Breathe in that the whole body is under tension, you know, because you have to be straight. Bam. And now nose to the ground. Breathe in. Very controlled, very good, you know. That is important. And from the other side, you would have seen when in that position, the body here and here is one line, the whole. But when I make now repetitions, always straight line. And there you see a lot of mistakes. The people break in that we don't want. And then you train your abs again, you know. One set is enough for me now, because I always make as a second set a push press with a light kettlebell. You know, people will laugh about the weight, but to me, I found a solution, you know, because I was diagnosed with the carpal tunnel syndrome. And if you know my street ball videos, when I started it, I could not throw. Every throw hurted me. Back in the days, I throwed like this, you know. I came up and then boom, nice. Now I push it, because that helped me back in the days when I made the mistake with the one-arm pull-up, I was crushing in. And then I had the carpal tunnel syndrome. Why? Because I had half a year, I had no feeling in the fingers, like it is sleeping in. And what happened there, you know, I had the pfeifische Drüsenfieber and on, which took me out a lot of years where I could not progress. And I had a blood pressure of over 200. I made one squat, 200 blood pressure. And that it took years, you know, I could do nothing. I tried it, but was heartbeat 120 from doing nothing, you know. And so you progress into it. And my problem was when I could train again, because back in the days I could do everything, you know. In the pictures we have seen it over 20 years ago. And so I was used, I can do everything. And then when you start again, the body is not used up to that again. And I made too much volume, boxing, bam, 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 speed back, bam, 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 boxed, you know. Push-ups, and it was too much for the shoulder triceps. And then I took a 32 kilo, was half of my body weight or more, and grabbed it there. And that tension when you grab a weight goes into the neck. And then all was sleeping in. Half a year problem, diagnosed carpal tunnel syndrome. And when I made one pull-up, all was sleeping in. So from that time, I was very carefully what I'm doing. Because training should make fun, most important thing. You should do something for your health. And health means that you have longevity, you know, that the joints don't get damaged and that you get stronger, fitter. But stronger and fitter is the side effect. It has to make fun and it has to be in that way that you can do that training now, in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years. And those things you can do also when you are 60, 70, 80 years, because I have seen the people, I have known the people. And that is very important. And that is why I use, for the shoulder press, I don't make anymore. Never felt good, you know. For others, they have never a problem. Depends what joint they have, you know, the space in the joint. To me, it was never good. Also back problems. But that is something when I made the crunches or the sit-ups, even as a child, I always had pain. All at once I asked the kids, no, never. And since a kid I have that. I never diagnosed it, but now I have no problem. But when I make too much weight lifting, I always have back problems. Even with the correct technique since I'm a child, you know. Maybe because I was falling down from trees and this and that, you know. And so I don't know. But only that you know that. And so my weight is, the perfect weight is 10 kilo. Most will laugh, you know, CrossFitters, they will laugh about that. But to me, it helps me, it keeps me fit, and it is a safe exercise. And when I make that at the end of the day, a push press with the kettlebell now, bam, bam. Why push press? Boom. Now when you're training, we say, hey, that is wrong, you have to make it this. No, a kettlebell, we use that, you know, momentum. That is the elbow in the joint here, and from here, boom, I explode, you know. Boom, this is like a snatch, you know. But I make it in that bit, there's no problem for the knees with that weight, you know. But that momentum, that first step, what I use from the legs, boom, to here, you know, from here to here. And now my shoulder has the energy, you know. And that is a safe way for the shoulder, because when I press it from here, that first moment, that is not the best way, you know. Even when you have problems, you know. So to me, it is a safe exercise, and I make my stairs training where I make 200 repetitions, you know. And that gets tough when you crawl down, but I do like the Shaolin monks, you know. You know my videos, Betty Cat Army, the stairs training. I've learned it from the Shaolin monks, you know. They crawl down the Bodhidharma cave, where they have in the Shaolin temple back in the days. Now these are demo teams, what you see. But a safe exercise. The development of the bodies are liked, you know. They are the same weight class like me a bit. And so to me it is a safe exercise, and we have the direction up. You know, we had now push press in that direction, or the push-ups in better words, and now we have push press in that direction. The shoulder are a bit over, and now they get more over, and it is not too much, you know. And to me, a safe way that I avoid injuries, damage, whatever. I will show you that now. So, now we are here. And for example, some person, normally you make 2 or 3 sets, you know, that's the classical. 2 sets, 10, 12 repetitions, you know, like bodybuilding. What they say correctly, you know, but also the bodybuilders train out. I was standing beside of Dorian Yates, you know, Mr. Olympia X time, you know, one of the best ever. Hardcore training number 1, Dorian Yates, you know, standing beside of me. I've seen Mariusz Buchanovsky, 5 times strongest man in the world record holder from the World Strongman competition, won it more often than anyone other. He made beside of me with 100 kilo warming up 10 repetition, what I remember back, you know. That was unbelievable. In his absolute peak years, you know, I've seen him. And yeah, so I've seen a lot of things, but to me, for example, one set was always the best in progression. I tried a lot of sets, you know, but to me, always one set was the best way, you know. Otherwise, I didn't get better and I got pain, you know. And so that was the best way, but there are other guys who need 3 sets. You know what I mean? So I only make 1 set push-ups and then this, but my concentration for the day were the pull-ups. You know, these were the concentrations and this is the side effect. When I go to the stairs, then I make 200 sets with pushing up, you know. But kettlebells, you know, these are all 10 kilos, like this one, like this one. This is an 8 kg with a 2 kilo magnetic plate. And also this one is 10 kilo, you know. It's not 8, it's 10 kilo, you see. That maybe sounds like, boy, when you are doing kettlebells, nothing, you know. But when you make it more from the muscles and not from boom, pushing up, it also can become heavier. And you know, I weigh in 62 kilo, you know, right now maybe 60 kilo. And you cannot compare me 60 kilo to a guy who weighs in 90 kilo. You know, these are 30 kilo more muscles, more bones. And of course, a 90 kilo guy will take a 16 or 18 kilo kettlebell to have the same benefit, the same feeling like me with a 10 kg, you know. That is also important to know. And they are different, you know. There is the angle longer, feels other. Here it is smaller. Here it is also smaller. Hole. This has also a hole, you know, but you don't see it now. And this has no hole. So here is the weight in the bell. And by those is the weight also in the, here in the grip. And that feels other, you know. But I'm used to the old generation kettlebells. These are those, you know. And by kettlebells, I told you, one trainer of me, he worked out with Steve Cotter, you know. With Steve Cotter, when he was learning the snatch by Valery Fedorenko, you know. That was in Greece, when Valery Fedorenko is the first kettlebell world champion from 1993, you know. And my trainer has learned it there with the legendary Steve Cotter, you know, where he learned it. Yeah, SD card was full again. So I have to put the files to the SD card that we can talk this to the end. So this kettlebell has the weight only in the bell, but not here. And that makes a difference when you hold it, you know, because when all the weight is here, it goes more out, you know. But on the lighter bells, you don't feel much difference, you know. That is when you have the 32 kg or more, or a little bit less, then you feel the difference, you know. So that, to me, makes no difference if I have the bells with the hole or the old generation kettlebell. And also those are competition kettlebells. This kettlebell is used for the German masters. The German championship in kettlebell used exactly that kettlebell, you know. And they have, the difference is to a standard competition kettlebell or a cheaper one, you know. I have here a Taurus, you know, from FitShop, back in the days, Sportidia. To me, they are perfect. Why? Because for that exercise is what I make, I don't need a high quality competition kettlebell. This one, for example, that is the Johann Martin kettlebell. And this guy, you know, is in the world one of the longest training people with kettlebells which exist on the whole planet. A world champion, I don't know, 50 years kettlebell training, you know, that is a legend. we got likes from him, you know. He has seen me with the kettlebell and he liked my videos, you know. And he's the founder of this, and this has here the flat spot. You don't see it maybe that good, but here it is flat. And that makes a huge difference when you have it in that position, you know, even when the bells are heavier, because the other ones are round, you know, and that makes a difference, you know, but it is more than in the competition style. And the difference from a cheap competition kettlebell to a high quality expensive kettlebell is first of all the grip. They are always 35 millimeters now. And back in the days, they were 33 millimeters, you know. That makes a difference in competition, because they make 10 minutes, boom, boom, and that the kettlebell don't goes out of the hand. That's why they have the 35 millimeter, and they are here very good for the chalk, you know, and for the grip. And by the cheaper one, you have a really cheap grip. But when you don't make a lot of repetitions where the bell makes this, it makes no difference. You know, when I hold it this, if I have that grip or that, makes no difference. And the other one is here, the weight is exactly the weight what stands on, you know, or almost, maybe 200 gram plus minus, but that is very, very correct, or even less. And by the cheaper one, it can happen, nowadays not that often, when you buy a 6 kilo, then you get a 5 kilo, or a 6 kilo 9, you know what I mean? That is the thing, and one big difference, this is one piece, you know, one piece, and here, most of the time, the grip is, these are two tools, the bell and the grip. This is, they do it on, you know, so it will never be that straight like on such a bell, you know, but when you don't make competitions, that also fits in. Important is that the position feels good, you know, the window, the space here, you know. That is important. So to me, I can go on with all kettlebells. I change it a lot of times, but they are 10 kilos now. You know, the green one is a lighter one, and I make the push press. You know, and there are also variations. As I told you now, from the push-ups and so, I feel it in the shoulder a bit, and now I make it very correct. Wait, I have to watch out that you see me now good. Because it looks almost the same. I had a tripod. So, damaged one. I go up, but I don't make this boom explosive thing, you know. Because when they use heavier bells, of course they use the heavier bell, you know. But the strength is explosive power. Boom! You know. They don't use the muscles to go up. I also made this, you know. Don't get me wrong. I also used heavier bells. I can show you that. Here, 2009, you know, that was the 16 kilo kettlebell, that was easy, you know, that was my warm-up with the 16 kilo kettlebell. I made bottom-up presses with the 16 kilo kettlebell, it was normal, you know. I made kettlebells, you know, 2.9, you see all, the old one, it was the Valery Fedorenko kettlebell, you know. And almost 20 years ago, I made the push presses with left, right-handed with the 24 kilo kettlebell. 20 years ago, there was a time when in the whole city not one single shop had a kettlebell, and not one single fitness studio or fitness gym had a kettlebell. I was the only one, you know. I started it here. And yeah, you see I have Everlast, 20 years old, this kettlebell from Everlast. These were the kettlebells what you got back in the days, 10 pounds. Makes no sense to hold, you know, too small, but that time it was. But you know, the difference is when they use heavy kettlebells, it's more explosive power. This is boom, half a second and they are up, and I use more the muscles, you know, I make a between thing, dynamic push press, you know, not push press from the, because I told you with my shoulder that I don't want to get hurt again, so I make other variation. And to me, I use the legs for the first momentum, this space, and from here, I use the muscles in the shoulder. And not boom, go up, you know. And by going down, I have two variations. You see? The legs, the legs, I go to my toes, you know, to my toes, and in that moment, the kettlebell comes down, elbow goes in here, and this is like a trampoline, a vibration. You see that? That is the easiest way to get it down. You don't lose energy in the muscles. Or I make it that. Here I make it slow from the muscles. There I feel the muscles. It looks almost the same, but it's a huge difference. Rest time or muscle time, you know. And so, to me, that is in that way, boom, go down, you know. Bam. I use the shoulders, you know. You see that? And so this is more muscles, more thing, and you have because the weight is right-handed, and here is no weight, you have to use the abs, you know. There is a famous scientist who said when you have too much weight one-handed, then it also drains the abs, but it is also damaging your spine, you know. And there it depends. I am a thin person. When you are a man with 100 kilos, big build, you know, then you can use complete other weights, you know. But to me, a heavier weight, I get stronger. Maybe the muscles get a bit more, but it also damages me from the joints because I am built, my frame is built very small. Because you have to imagine, when you build a tree house, where would you build it? On such a small tree, you know? I show you that. Will you build it on such a tree? A house on? Or on such a big tree? And you cannot change the tree. The tree will always be small or thin, you know, the bones. And so, like me, heavier weights will damage me, you know. Of course I can use it, but at the end of the day, over years, they will damage me. And so that is the better solution for me, you know. And as you see, in kettlebell competition, they don't want to lose energy, that they can make in 10 minutes as many repetitions as possible, and they go up straight. And I go up a little bit out, because then I train the shoulder a bit more than to make this, you know. These are small details, but you have to see, you know. And I wait a bit on, because I feel now the tension in the shoulder, boom. Feel it, breathe out, breathe in. Breathe out, breathe in. You know. And when you do that a lot of times, also you feel it in the legs. Of course, better squats. Doing squats, because that range of motion is not much, but you have to stay for minutes. When I make the stairs on the legs, weight is on the legs, you know. And so, only as an instruction now, as I do it, you know, it's now only the last exercise, but you know what I mean, you know. Normally I concentrate more on the movement. Always, when you're up, abs is under tension. It also trains the abs, you know. We made not one single ab exercise, but the pull-ups, the push-ups and the abs make it. But as I told you, it would be better to have the abs under tension in all directions to work them up, you know. Because that was always the thing. Wait. You know. And I don't count, you know. I go by feeling now. I feel it in the shoulders, you know. Because also holding it up, the shoulder is always under tension, you know. Only that small little second here, because I don't wait 1, 2, 3, 4. I go up, go down, go up. So a rhythm thing, you know. And there was always the thing with the abs. I would make, like last time, ab exercise, rotational things, you know, maybe crunches, they always hurted me, but I made a lot of them back in the days. Abs great, but back bad, you know. But that is my body. To 98% of the other people, they will never have a problem doing it. But there was the discussion, crunches, the small one, or sit-ups, bad for the spine, yes or no? What shows, always good to watch out for the examples in the sport. Boxers, Thai boxers, make this exercise for 100 years, plus minus. They always make crunches and sit-ups, you know. Have they back problems? Yes and no. The thing is, there are a lot of fighters who have damaged backs, you know. I know a lot of world champions who have damaged backs, but was it because of the thousands and thousands of repetitions to go into your spine? Or it was maybe more the boom, boom, this fast rotation, always by the punching, you know. This or that, you know. But there was then one scientist in Germany who said it is very important to make those crunch sit-up variations for the abs. And then there was the other guy, a world famous scientist for spine, you know, from Canada, Stuart McGill. And he said, no, absolutely not doing crunches or sit-ups, all variations of blanks on a gymnastic ball, that, you know, on a gymnastic ball, that trains the abs. But he made it on animals who were dead on the spines. These were not living human spines, you know, because the spine also regenerates, you know. And so I would say never do too much. When you make thousands of repetitions, sit-ups your whole life, maybe that will be not good. If you make 20 repetitions, 40 repetitions 2 times a week, maybe that will not be that problem. But when you make it correct and it's still you have pain, yeah, then don't do it anymore. Then make other exercises, you know. Better to make a few exercises for the abs than no one, and those who are not good for you, avoid them. And people say, this exactly that exercise you need. No, maybe it helps out for the other people, but not for you, you know. There are a lot of exercises, but as I told you, I have trained now also the abs, but now I do not more, but it would be good to make this, or to hang on, to make the leg raises, or the Russian twist I use a lot of times, and also people will laugh because I make it always boom, 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 this, you know. They will say it is completely wrong, you have to take your legs down, use a heavy weight and make the rotation. Yeah, but that to me never felt good, you know. And I have trained now my biceps, and when I use a heavy weight, it's not good, you know. And that feels better to me, but that is my body. I would not maybe say it to you, you know. Everyone has other training, you know, you cannot make the same. But that is the thing, that is now enough to me, because I have to work today 5 hours on the bicycle, you know. Now I have 2 hours rest, and then I have to go 5 hours biking, carrying the bag, walking the stairs up, and not too many sleep, and tomorrow at 8 o'clock I have to work again. So to me, this training is now enough. If I would have free now, if I would have good eating now, at evening good eating, protein, vegetables, you know, an apple and banana, such things, and enough sleep, and tomorrow rest time, no sport, nothing, and then I could do much more now, because I could have the regeneration. But the regeneration I don't have. So to me, the best training to keep up is not do too much, you know. But when you have much more recovery time, you can do much more in the training. You know what I mean? So that is a complex story. So that was part 1. Today with the special thing, the Russian ladder system. Next time we see us again in part 2. Again the Russian ladder system, of course. But then I will only film it in a short term, that you see my progress. And the other exercise is in a time warp also, a small video. And then we make that a few steps until I have reached the 5 ladders, you know, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, until I have the 75 repetitions in a good way. And then we go to the next step, to a pull-up ABC, to a 5-5 system or whatever, and then you see the progression, and then I will guarantee you that one day we make the 20 pull-ups in a row without a break. Then you have seen that that works, you know. In that sense, we see us in part 2. Until next time, and in July, new bicycle, new computer, new GoPro, new clothes, new basketballs, and then we start by 0 again from the fuse. Until then, with street ball. Until then, bye and ciao.